Okay, so one of the questions I was asked today by one of my students is about whether speaking many different languages actually makes you more successful. And that is a really, really interesting question, because there's a hint of truth in that, but let me tell you why that actually could lead to people being more successful. So the reality is, if you speak more than one language, what you'll find is the world is a very different place when you speak that language. So I speak several different languages. My first language was Gaelic, Irish, and I obviously learned English. So the question then is the world the same when you speak different languages? For me, when I speak Gaelic, the world is a very, very different place, because it's got different learning experiences and different values. When I speak English, the world is a different place to the Gaelic speaking world. So these are different realities effectively. And this maps very directly to what we call the NLP communication model in the Success Coach program, where we talk about everybody's got a unique model of the world. So if you speak several different languages, you have several different unique models of the world based on the language you're speaking. And what that means is the following. How you see the world is a model. It's not true, it's not reality, it's a model of how you see it. And if you can hold two or more models in your head at the same time, and both models conflict, but both models are true, you really have the ability to become successful. So the thing is this, there's a model that I've learned. Let's take health for it as an example. There's a model around health which is based on the medical profession, which is one model around health. And that model is basically, if there's something wrong with the body, we put something in or we take something out. And that's a model that works some of the time. But there's many situations where putting something in, like a tablet or a chemical, or taking something out, like cutting out a tumor, doesn't necessarily solve the problem. But there's other models out there as well that don't necessarily agree with this modern medical paradigm, that are very different, such as paradigms from traditional Chinese medicine that have been around for 10 or 15, 20,000 years, based on very old traditions and techniques. And now what a lot of people do is they try to figure out which one is the correct one, which one is right. The way I look at it is differently. When I look at it, I say, is it useful? Is the model useful? Now, if somebody's going to a doctor and they're getting medication for a particular ailment and they're not getting better, then I'm saying in my head, is that model useful? Probably not. Is there another model I can look at that may not agree with this model but gets different results? So I have the ability to hold multiple different models in my head that they don't necessarily agree, but I'm not saying one is right and one is wrong. I'm saying which one is more useful today. So when you start to look at the world, you realize that everybody's got a different model of the world. And if you start to look at which models are more useful and adapt those models, then you're more likely to be successful. And that's where the idea of multiple languages affects success. People who speak multiple languages have multiple models in their head about how they see the world. I hope you found this tip useful. Speak to you in the next video.